What is a profession that you have limitless respect for? Hospice workers. Definitely. My dad has been shifted to hospice care, and I couldn't be more thankful for the sincerely kind support from his caseworker and nurses. They're all a lovely bunch of people and have treated my dad with the respect that I'd hoped for. Sewage workers. We like to be called brown trout fishermen or wastewater professionals. Brown trout fishermen, oh man. New taking a dump phrase. Gonna go stock the river with brown trout? We had someone go inside our septic tank once when a pipe broke, would not want to be in his shoes. Heck, I may even burn him afterwards if such a situation comes up. Tons of respect. As a nurse, the hospital housekeepers. It's a thankless, underpaid, miserable job, but so critical to patients' health and well-being. Was waiting for my wife getting treated for something minor at a major trauma center. Medical staff came out of a room looking beaten and covered in blood. The cleaning staff went in and were there forever. Yeah, the ore cleaners are the best. They do so much for so little. Completely unsung heroes. 247, they are cleaning stray bone shrapnel off everything, fecal matter from the floors, and blood off all the monitors, just so we could muck it up all over again. I'm a hospital housekeeper. Thank you for appreciating us. A lot of nurses don't give us the light of day and just expect us to be their clean-up slaves. A few nurses in my hospital would just throw garbage on the floor and leave latex gloves littered in the hallways. It's ridiculous that we sometimes find ourselves cleaning up after the staff more than we do the patients. Edit. Wanted to say thank you to all the nurses and care aides that try to keep things tidy. I would say 90% of the people I've met doing healthcare are fantastic and will pre-strip beds or go out of their way to let me know when patients are being discharged, and it's really appreciated. People involved in elder care. They are grossly underpaid. I worked 5 years in a nursing home as a janitor and cook. I was cleaning rooms, so I socialized with the old folks in their personal environment. A thing that people don't realize you live with as a worker, apart from the general misery and loneliness of these persons, is the fact that your customers die. Like you speak with a nice half-blind granny one day, ask her about her life, have a great talk, and then you come home to work the next morning and she's being rolled out the home on a stretcher in a leather bag. And you realize that this was her last conversation for eternity. You begin to wonder if you could have said something different. You wished you told her goodbye if you could have known it was her last day with us. There's no degree or training that can prepare you to this. It weighs on your soul after a few dozens. I quit because I'm becoming a teacher. I've experienced the human contact with elders in need, but now I hope to have the same emotional link, but with young people. I need my perspective to be oriented towards the future. Don't get me wrong, both are rewarding, but I just felt it was time for me to move on. I profoundly admire people who make a career of living with ill-being people. It's so incredibly demanding on the mind and the body. Many do not realize the stories that they could tell, and most are very willing to talk. History is sitting in front of many, and they don't even ask them anything. Thank you. I love my elderly residents, but I sure wish I could live a bit more comfortably financially. So true. I worked in a great elder care facility for veterans. Every single patient was someone's favorite, and everyone was loved. If you think elderly people are anything but treasure, I just want to say that working with them is its own reward. And shout out to all the people caring for their family members in homes. Garbage men, women, lest we be buried in our own waste. Saw a tweet once that said garbage men and pickup artists should swap names, and I wholeheartedly agree. If there's no one to clean up the shit, you'll quickly find yourselves covered in shit. Look up photos of the 1981 Nazi sanitation strike. When they went on strike in Paris, and streets were practically overflowing by the end of the month, it was downright apocalyptic. It really puts into perspective how much garbage people produce and how much work it takes to clean it up. I did this for years. There's so much more to it than people know. Also in the top 5 deadliest careers in the US. Do you mind telling me about the dangers you faced when you worked as a garbageman? Not Op, but my friend, tells me all about her adventures driving a trash truck. First and foremost, a lot of times you are in the lane of travel picking up trash because there is nowhere else to pull over. Other drivers are not patient or understanding and will whip around your truck at dangerous speeds. If you happen to step out into their way, well, that's it for you. Also, you never know what people actually put in their trash bag. When using the blade to crush the trash into the truck, she's had things catch fire and explode, shoot shrapnel out, or just pop and cover her in unknown liquids. The dumps landfills are basically just dirt piles, and rolling your truck over is not uncommon. And then there are the trucks themselves. They are the most clutched together, hop-tie pieces of shit you can imagine. Hydraulic lines rupture and catch fire, transmissions that just fall out while driving down the road, mechanics that install parts backwards and refuse to listen when you tell them it's not sounding right, etc. Driving a trash truck is not for the weak. Edit. I forgot to mention the maggots. Maggots everywhere, and seagulls shitting all over you at the dump. Janitors, those people are unsung heroes. Been one for a long time, and I actually enjoy the work. The hardest was working in hospitals. Lots of healthcare places try and pay housekeeping and janitors as little as possible. Hospitals cannot run without good cleaning crews. Doctors and surgeons are not going to clean up after themselves. At one hospital, the head of infection control wanted to have environmental services, janitors, absorbed by her department. It would mean big pay increases. I'm her mind, the ones really behind keeping infections from spreading and under control were the cleaning staff. Oh, and worked in a nursing home, cleaning staff cared more for the patients than a lot of medical staff. Wasn't uncommon that our team was the only friendly conversation the old people would have. I was a 5-and porter at a grocery store. Janitor, light maintenance, ran the compactor. I loved the job. I was done with 8 hours. Of work by 6:30, I had a secret room with a chair that the manager key didn't open, but janitorial did. I repaired the broken intercom in that room so I could hear pages, and I would play pages, and I would play Pass Me Back There until someone paged to me. Then I would appear in seconds to help out. I constantly told people I would be in my office, and they thought I was joking. Just didn't pay enough. I was good at it and making $7.65 an hour after 6 years in the company. That wage is criminal. Glad you got to fuck off for most of the day. Honestly, they were only paying you for maybe 3 hours of work at those rates. Yeah, I started as a teenager, and I was misled by my well-meaning boss. He was on a much older contract. He was making like $37 with double time on Sunday. When he found out alongside me that my contract was so much worse than his, he started pushing me to leave too. Healthcare cleaning staff deserve so much more respect than they get. Hello. My normal position is a janitor at McDonald's. Thank you so much. I wish people gave me credit. I work my ass off. Not even a thank you from anybody. I was glad Trash Truck came out, cause garbage men should be heroes to kids. Become friends with the custodians. They'll help you get away with anything. Janitors truly seem to appreciate when people know their name and say hi to them. Saddens me to think that they're often ignored and worse, looked down upon. I always try to be friendly with them, security, and the receptionist. These people, along with help desk, can help you immensely. Honestly, as a person that's worked a custodian, it's not super hard work, and they tend to be laid better than you might think. Now, that's the perk I was looking for. Electrical line workers. Those men and women go out in the worst temperatures and conditions at any time of night just to get your house. It's power back. Agree? My dad used to work for the electrical company, and one of his linemen thought that he was above using safety equipment properly. He didn't have the gloves up high enough, and his tricep barely grazed a wire. The current went up his arm, through his chest and down his other arm. He lost both arms. People complain when it takes more than 10 minutes to get their power back on, but don't want to think of how the power gets turned back on. Thank you for this. My husband is a lineman and has had people say nasty things to him, seen people throw food on his co-workers, etc., because they're not working fast enough. It's such a dangerous job. I can't think about it too much. What scum? There are so many times where I just want people to think, did this person cause my problem, or are they fixing my problem? Now that's the perk I was looking for. Anyone who investigates child sexual abuse of any kind. Yes, a job that desperately needs to be done, and I know I wouldn't last. I either wouldn't last a day, or I'd become Dexter. Yup, social workers should be top of the list, imho. That has to be an incredibly soul-crushing job. It is. It's crushing me. As a former foster kid, the first face I remember is a keeps worker holding me and saying sadly, "Oh, they're so young." She gave me a plush toy, and that's mostly what I remember, not the police scene or all the drugs. Some of us do make it to be successful. I'm one of them. Agriculture, field workers. I did that work for 3 months when I was in college. I worked with a crew of Vietnamese refugees who were 100 times better at the job than I was. I graduated to being mediocre at the job by the time I left. It is back-breaking work and is significantly undervalued in our society. I worked a summer managing several crews in the Sacramento Valley, and the field workers were the hardest working people I've ever worked with. Zero complaining, always early, and they followed all instruction. I would usually let them off an hour early on Friday and pay them the full day. Not much, but it's the best I could offer as an intern. Just any profession that has to interact with the average person as part of their day. Honestly, people are fucking idiots. Special ed teachers. Not just them, but their aides. My son is autistic, and his aide is wonderful. Not to detract from this statement at all, but I think teachers in general in America are criminally underappreciated. They're literally tasked with educating our next generations, plus babysitting them. And for what? A pittance? I have a kid with the 21, Down syndrome. The teachers and paraprofessionals who work with our kids have my utmost respect. Social workers. Dear God, the things they see are soul-crushing sometimes, and often, poor pay and little recognition for their work. Love them etta. Seeing all the social workers comment is making me so happy. I'm glad I could make you feel seen. I have been helped by social workers countlessly as a disabled person and psych patient, and now as a nurse, I get to collaborate with you guys on a professional level, and you are my favorite resort. I hope one day the rest of the world appreciates the work you do. Mental health workers and health workers as a whole, for that matter. Merchant seamen. People who think products simply appear in stores don't realize that 90% of the world's traded goods are moved by sea. It's a difficult, dangerous, and undervalued job, and the world economy would collapse should the sea lanes be threatened by conflict or natural disaster. The veterinarians who do in-home euthanasia. I can't imagine putting beloved pets down all day, every day, but giving my doggo the gift of dying in my bed instead of a cold, sterile vet's office was an unspeakable gift. People ask all the time how we do it. It's honestly one of the easier parts of my job. Euthanasia means good death, and it's an end to suffering. I always empathize with owners and feel a little sad with owners and feel a little sad with each one, but it's much better than having to witness suffering and pain. EMT and firefighters. Anyone who works in the mental health field, social workers, therapists, etc., garbage men, women, suicide hotline operators, 911 dispatchers, doctors of any kind. Construction. That shit beats the shit out of your body. Teachers. I could never do their job. Teachers and daycare teachers, especially after having a child and understanding how difficult they are. There's a common thread here. A lot of the professions aren't particularly well paid. Teachers, nurses, paramedics, etc. a backward society. Firefighters, especially hazmat. They're heroes. Air nurses. Not only they're heroes, they're super compassionate. 911 dispatch. Even if I'd love to give it a try, I know it can be brutal and underpaid. Also, they're the ones making sure the first responders arrive. Forensics. The things they must see in that job and the mad skills they need, also super underappreciated. I know I'd never be able to do it.